My name is Josh. I'm excited for tonight. Hey, last week we talked about being real. Everybody say, we are real. That's right. Y'all better show. I hope you showed up. Anybody show up and like you were like, today, sweatpants. We're just rocking. Y'all, you were with me. You heard me. I don't know if the rest of you heard me. They heard me. All right. Hey, tonight we're talking about we are honoring. Say, we are honoring. Hey, we choose to be honoring. We choose to honor other people. Man, I don't know if you've ever felt like if you've ever just been on, you just felt like so honored. And I'm not talking about like the cheap, like 30-cent ribbon you got for like a spelling bee or something like that. You know, like you ever feel that and you're like, oh, thanks. Throwing it away, right? Like you just like, not like real honor. But man, there's a time that stuck with me that I just felt so honored. I got, when I was 19, I got invited to a breakfast, and there was a Christian man who kind of mentored young Christian leaders, and so he invited me to a breakfast. I was honored. Say honored. I was honored. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And so I went to this breakfast with a bunch of guys. We went to First Watch. Anybody ever been to First Watch? First Watch is good, but it was my first time at a restaurant. Anybody get like first time restaurant anxiety? Like you see like have you ever been to like Cheesecake Factory and you look at like all 75 pages of this book and you're like, what am I gonna do here? Right? Like, and like 40 of those are cheesecake. You're like, right, so I just remember going in and I was like a little nervous, right? I don't even know this guy who invited us to breakfast. I don't know him. This is the first time at this restaurant, but I'm excited. And I remember feeling super honored. Say honored. I remember feeling super honored when we sat down, and at one point in our conversation, he asks me a question about parenting. Mind you, I'm like 18, 19 years old. How much experience, knowledge, wisdom, power, authority do you have as an 18 or 19-year-old to give a parent advice? I felt like I had none, right? Right? Like this guy who has adult children is asking me for parenting advice. I was like, well, thank you for seeing how great I am, right? Like, I mean, just felt honored. Like, this guy's like, hey, what would you do in this situation as a dad? And I was like, I don't know. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, it can't have been good. Y'all know it just can't, like, it could not have been anything good or meaningful. But then he did something else that just honored me like crazy. Ready? Say honored. He reached into his pocket and he pulled out a notebook. And he leaned in over the table and just started to take notes. Y'all ever had somebody like start taking notes in your conversation? You know, like somebody like thought your words were so important and so powerful that like you were talking and you were like, man, I think the Mandalorian is like one of them. Like, hold on. Oh my gosh. You're a genius, right? Like this just doesn't happen day to day. Like this guy just starts taking notes on the words I'm saying as a 19-year-old commenting on parenting. And I felt honored. Say honored. And then it was even crazier because I walked away from that breakfast and I was like, man, I feel really honored. And one of my friends was like, yeah, this was kind of weird. And I was like, why is that? He's like, well, Steve is a professional family therapist. Literally every day, he gives advice to families. He gives advice to parents. And there was something in that moment that just hit me, that this man has no reason to trust me. He's never met me. He has no like impetus to value me. He doesn't know anything about me. I offered him terrible advice. I mean, it could have been like, I think you should give your kid candy every day. That'd make him happy. And you know, like, I don't even know what I offered. But in that moment, he did something that showed me that I mattered. And I don't forget that breakfast. I just walked away thinking, this guy valued my time, valued me, and I didn't even deserve that. Like I've earned, like this guy has spent his entire professional life learning how to give advice to other people, and then he was taking it from some of the people that he would give advice to, right? And I just remember being like, this is crazy. And I want to talk about honor because I think it's important that we learn what it means to honor, and that in this place we choose to honor other people. And honor is one of those things that we get to do all the time. It's something that you can do every day. You get to honor the peers around you, right? You get to honor your teachers. You get to honor your parents. The list goes on, but let's be honest. Honor is not all that easy. I mean, it's easy sometimes, let's be real. It's easy to honor the people we love. It's easy to honor like celebrities, right? Y'all ever like fanboy, fangirled over somebody like online, right? Like you hopped on a YouTube channel and you were like, oh my gosh, I love you. Right? Like you just like went all like a little too far, but you're like fine, nobody knows. My name is Dark Bunny 27. They'll never find out it's me, right? Like you like hide behind that. But it's easy to honor people that we have high respect for. Man, my son loves Dude Perfect. He loves the Dude Perfect guys. He knows their theme song. He's shot his own Dude Perfect episode. And here's the thing. Dude Perfect comes up almost daily in our home. Like he'll do something, and I'm trying to think of, here's what it was. Today, he spilled a Cheerio, and then he like flicked it with his finger, and it rolled around on the table, and it got stuck in a groove on the table, and he was like, trick shot. Tell Dude Perfect, right? Like, he was just like so excited. He was like, did you see that? I'll do it again. He couldn't do it again, but he was so excited. And it's easy to honor. We're like, oh man, they're incredible. These guys are awesome. I would never say anything bad about Dude Perfect because I love them. It's easy to honor sometimes, but other times, and many times, honor comes at the cost of what we want. You ever been in the middle of something incredibly important? Like 5 minutes into a good nap. Like in the last 3 minutes of an online match, and you're winning. And then you hear a still, shrill, small voice go, Baron, come here, right? Anything. Have you ever been in the middle of something and you were like, and my life is in this right now, and all of a sudden you're like, take out the trash. What? No. Ever been, and like I loved, man, one of the most sacred things in the world to me was the nap. Specifically in high school. I got up at 5 a.m. every morning in high school. By the time I got and I don't have that much energy in me, right? Like this is it. You're seeing all of it, right? I was boring for the whole day. This is all I've got right here, okay? So in high school, use all that energy, come home, and I would just fall face first on the bed, right? Just solid 20-minute nap. And one of the worst things is when you get interrupted and you have a choice to make. Do I honor or do I do what I want to do? Honor often will come at a cost. Honor often comes at a cost, and it challenges what we want. Do we honor somebody else in the moment? You know, I think about your life as a baby. I don't know if y'all remember being a baby, but when you were a baby, you were one of the most selfish people on the planet. You were in a small population of the most selfish people alive, okay? In fact, when you were a baby, you did not care that your parents had not slept in like 5 weeks. And still, at 3 a.m., you were like, hey, you know what? I'm alive. Let's do this. Right? You did not care that you had just eaten 30 minutes ago. There was a moment in the day where you were like, now! Food time is now, right? Like you just didn't care. There was a moment when your parents were in a very incredible, personal, deep, intimate, like soul-bearing conversation with a friend or with each other, and they were like, I love you too, I love you so much. And they were having this moment, and you were like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm done. And you were like, ah! And they were like, oh my God. Right? Like you just done care. There was a whole season of your life where you were taught and you grew to just say, hey, everything in this world revolves around me. Oof. Right? You just believe that like, hey, I am the most important thing on this planet. Serve me. Right? Like you had this belief. And guess what? It takes God to unlearn that. Because people grow up and they can be incredibly selfish. Incredibly self-absorbed. They can walk into a room and believe, I'm the most important person in here. So I'll listen to you half-heartedly. I'll just wait until my time to jump in on the car. Look, I got something really funny right now, right? You ever been listening to somebody and then halfway through you just start like going off into how hilarious this this story that you've got in your head. You're like, oh, I'm so funny, right? Like, I can't wait to say this. And then you miss because they like end with a question and they're like, yeah, so what do you think about that? And you're like, let me tell you about when I was in 6th grade. Right? Like you're just not even ready for that moment. Sometimes we are so focused on ourselves that we miss the value in other people. I want to take you tonight, if you got a Bible, go with me to Genesis 1:27. It's a short verse. It's a really small verse. It's at the very beginning of the Bible, but I think it's one of the most important verses. It says so much and so little. It's incredible. It says this: God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God created them in his own image, in his likeness. That's the NLT. Can I read you the Gen ZV, right? You ready for this? All right. Genesis 1:27 in Gen Z. Cap G made people like small G's, gave them a glow up from the dirt. Boys and girls now slap, all right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, y'all feel good about that? Because I wrote that, and yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close. I'm saying bop a lot now, so we're getting close, real close, y'all. No. This is an incredibly important verse in the Bible because it says a couple things. It says who's the most important in the world. It says what you and I are, and it says what we do with it. It says the most important person in the world. I don't know if you caught this. It's hidden in the background of this verse. But the most important of all time is God. He's the most important. There's nothing higher than him. He is incredible and indescribable. I love this story where Moses is like, man, I don't even know what to tell people you are. Can I tell something? Can I tell everybody what you are? And God gives him a one-liner that's just like oh. And he goes, I am who I am. And Moses is like, all right, are they going to listen to that though? But like, that's a boss move. I am who I am. You realize how incredible, do you know, here's the deal. That is such a boss line that Iron Man and Thanos stole it, right? I am Iron Man. I am inevitable, right? Like they got this from God. They can't be, anyway. This verse tells us God is the most awesome. He's the most credible. And what's amazing about that is then it says, and guess what? He created something incredible that's a reflection of him. That is an image of him. The Bible says that humans were originally just dirt, that God formed man and woman out of the dirt. And I love because everyone in the world really agrees with that statement, right? Like even atheists who don't believe in God are like, yeah, people came from nothing. And the Bible's like, yeah, people came from nothing, right? And we agree on that. But the Bible says that, guess what? In a moment, God filled people with his own image. And there's something incredible in that. Do you realize? Just look around at somebody. Look at somebody. You can even, what's up? Right? Like you can. Hey, everybody in this room is incredible because they're made in God's image, in God's likeness. They're his reflection. Let me tell you something that's incredible about that. That means that every single one of you has value. You have worth. Your life matters. You have purpose. You are above. You're more important than grass. You're more important than dogs and bears. You are more important than buildings. You are more important than art and music. You are valuable because you're made in God's image. And every single person around you has value. People have value above everything else, except for God. God has the highest seat. He's worthy of honor. He's incredible. He's awesome. And then he made people lower than him, but we reflect him and we have value. And so, I believe it's C.S. Lewis, which really is like the third time I've quoted C.S. Lewis in a Vox message in the last month. But here's the deal. C.S. Lewis once said, you've never met a regular human. You've met a soul and a reflection of God. And I just think that's like beautiful, right? Like that. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt, but like it's just beautiful. The people have value, that they matter, that they mean something. You mean something. And so 1 Peter 2, verse 17 says this. Now that we know that people matter, it says this. Respect everyone. Say everyone. And love the family of believers. The Bible says, I love this, Hebrews 13, 17. I love this because this is about me. It says, obey your spiritual leaders and do what they say. Here's why. It says their work is to watch over your souls, and they're accountable to God. I don't want to, y'all don't tell your tag leaders this, because it might scare them just a little bit. But they're like responsible for you. Like they're gonna have a conversation with God, and he's gonna be like, hey, what did you do with Sierra? And Kim's gonna be like, I dropped that. I don't know. I'm messing. Both of you. No. We are accountable. And so it says, give them reason to do this with joy, not with sorrow. I love celebrating over you. I will cry over you. Not as much as Dina Comer will cry over you. She's just crying over you now, like right now. Like, you like eat an apple and she's like, oh my gosh. I love them. No. So it says respect everyone. 1 Peter 2:17. Respect everyone. Love the family of believers. And he says something really beautiful there too. He says, fear God. And I know that's a weird phrase, but the Bible says to fear God over 100 times. And the phrase fear God means that we should have a real, living, active, passionate awe. There was a time we went to Yellowstone National Park. I don't know if you've ever been. I don't know if it's on your bucket list. Add it tonight. There was a moment that I'll never forget. We were driving up the mountain, one of the mountains. I mean, it's just beautiful. And as we drove up the mountain, I could see the blue sky ahead. And I was like, wow, we are really, really, really high up. This is incredible. And then as we got closer, I realized that at 18,000 feet of elevation, I was looking at a lake as far as the eye could see. And I'm going to tell you something. There is nothing scarier and more disturbing to me than what can live in a lake at 18,000 feet of height. Like, what's in that water? I don't trust our beaches. I double-checked pools. Can I tell you though, it really was. I remember coming up that, and when I realized that this was not the sky, that I was looking at a lake as far as the eye could see, and one of these, like on a mountain. Like you can't see the end of it on a mountain. And I just heard this, there was like an awe. This is incredible. And when the Bible says fear God, what it's saying is we should have awe. Like just a deep, like the, I almost peed myself. That was, and then it says this, 1 Peter 2:17, respect everyone, love the family of believers, fear God, and respect the king. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Nero. He's one of my favorite people to talk about in history because he's whack. Straight whack, y'all. Emperor Nero was the emperor over Rome at the time that Peter wrote those words in 1 Peter 2:17. He was the emperor. He was reigning over Rome. And he was mad. He was crazy. Like, I can't even go into the details. Let me just say this, right? Nero tried to kill his mom over 6 times. 3 times he tried to poison his mom. 1 time he tried to collapse her roof on top of her. Another time he built her a collapsible boat and she swam to shore and survived. I don't know, man. I don't know. And then he finally sent assassins after her and killed her. He was married to a woman, and he had multiple affairs during their marriage. And then he grew so tired of her that he divorced her and had her murdered, and had a woman that he had an affair on with bring him her head. That woman who brought the head of his first wife was also murdered by Nero. I don't know, man. I don't know. He killed his second wife. Nero famously lit the city of Rome on fire, lighting some of the poor sections of the city so that he could rebuild his own palace. And he blamed it on Christians. That was the crazy part. He had the city lit on fire. He was 30 miles away, but he had the city lit on fire, burned the poor sections, rebuilt a palace. And he said the Christians, they're anarchists. They did this. And so to punish them, Nero started a campaign to arrest Christians. One of the few things that he did to Christians was he had them sewn inside of animal skins, and then he'd put them in arenas fed to lions and wolves. He also would take Christians and he'd have these elaborate garden parties. And he'd tie the Christians up, hang them on poles, cover them in tar, and he'd light them to be the torches as his parties went into the night. Nero is whack. I feel you. Can I tell you, I really wrestle with this. I really wrestle with this. Because Peter writes, respect the king. What? Do you know what the book of 1 Peter is about? Peter is trying to encourage the Christians that have been chased out of their homes, that are on the run from Nero. That's the context of 1 Peter. He's like, to the scattered church across Asia. And then in 2 Peter, he writes again to the believers, Stay strong. And sometime after 2 Peter, well, actually during the writing of 2 Peter, we believe that Peter was actually arrested by Nero. And he writes from a jail cell in Rome. And that while Peter is in Rome serving time, Nero has Paul, one of the greatest Christian men, beheaded. And then Nero takes Peter and has him crucified upside down. Now, can you imagine this? Can you imagine as Peter, knowing that he is being chased, knowing that he's being pursued, knowing that his death is coming, and he just says, respect the king. And I'll tell you, this blows my mind and confuses me and confounds me. But can I tell you something that's incredible? That Peter is one of history's greatest men. But if you think about it, he's a nobody. Like Peter was a school dropout who became a fisherman. He married young. He had nothing really. He quit his low-income job as a fisherman to follow a guy for 3 years who had no money. He followed Jesus for 3 years. School dropout, nothing. I mean, like, what else do you have? And yet, because Peter honored those around him, he respected everyone. He loved the family of believers. He feared God. God honored his life and his legacy. And can I tell you what's even crazier? That during the persecution that Nero started, Christianity grew like crazy. Like Nero tried to snuff this thing out, and instead the opposite happened. Christianity spread to all parts of the world. As the Christians that were scattered were being persecuted and they had to leave their homes, they went into cities that no one had gone to yet and started churches, and the church grew, and it grew, and it grew. And guess what? Because Peter honored, we are recipients of the church. Can I just say, hey, that wouldn't have happened. And listen, here's the deal. You and I have moments to honor each other every day. You can honor the kids in your class. You can honor each other in Vox. So when we come in here, we honor each other. We listen. We lean in. Maybe you take notes and you're like, wow, that is whack, but okay. But like, we honor each other. When you're home, honor your parents. Honor the leaders. Honor authority. That's not easy, is it? But can I tell you, it's worth it. Believe me, it's worth it.